Companies abandoning offices. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because we're looking at an interesting article from commercialrealestate.com.au. Now, due to the pandemic crisis or not, this company plans on never returning to the office. Now, I've been discussing this for some time, just that there is a cultural shift happening. And, well, the lockdowns, the restrictions on freedom, the working from home, that's accelerated that. It's accelerated that significantly. It's a shift moving away from having an office, having a premises, more people looking at ways to work home, more businesses providing flexibility for their staff and reducing their costs. I remember when I was networking, I met a gentleman, a lawyer, and it was quite interesting. We went and had a coffee at the Brisbane Club. And this gentleman, he didn't have an office at all, but he didn't only work from home. His business had an app where they'd identified any place that they could do work, where they could get free internet, where they could get services, and it was all recorded in the app so that their team, and there were about 20, 30 people, could work anywhere and could share information and intelligence of where to have a literal, get office space, get a place to work. I mean, the Brisbane Club was, when I was a member there, you could go there and do some work in the little offices when you needed to. It was quite useful. That WeWork ain't that unique, guys. It ain't that special. So, the question's been, particularly with commercial real estate, it's always been seen as a safe haven. We looked at Growth Point, and there, we look here, their shares are now sitting at $3.39. We go back to a year, they were at $4.45 in Feb. They've managed to collect 97% of their rent in the last time we looked. So they're doing quite well. They're collecting the money. But, will that materialize going forward? Will there be a change? Will we see a raft of abandoned offices? Will that be represented in the valuation of these companies, of the real estate investment trust, of the commercial office building owners? Will owners need to invest even more to entice people to go to these buildings? Then what flow-on effect would it have for other parts of the economy? For the cafes, for the little small shops there, they could all take a hit. So this can be an ongoing process. We had a look at when we had the recession Australia had to have. And actually, I'm gonna get a few charts here to look at. We'll just jump over here to trading economics. Now let's go to our indicators for Australia. Now we've got GDP growth rate quarterly 7%. We'll go out to 25 years and I'll have a shot of coffee. And we can see here, in the recession Australia had to have, we'll go max. The recession Australia had to have here. The fall wasn't that much compared to what we've got now. This is the biggest that's ever existed. So let's go to the Property Council data room. I'm hitting my desk here, everything. Sorry, guys. I'm not going to take it out of the audio. I need to find a way to mount my microphone from the ceiling down. Or maybe build a new desk. But anyway, we'll have a look here at the office for commercial vacancy rates. We'll go here, office vacancy. And this here is the recession. It went from about 5% up to 25% a couple of years later in Australia. I love looking at Canberra here because, well, it took a while for any increase in office vacancy. It took a lot longer, just because it's our civil service capital of the country. But we had a jump there. And that was here with a GDP fall of a couple of percent. Look at that. What do you think this fall here in GDP is going to manifest into office vacancy rates? We can have here, we can look at, where is it? Property value sentiment. This is the sentiment by different sectors. We'll look at office. It's plunged in September. Look at that. So it was down in June and just took another huge hit, negative 65.6. Retail plunged slightly up, but office has taken a big hit. So let's have a look at this article about this business that's looking at not going back, because honestly, I can see it happening more and more. I can see it happening more and more. Maybe those of us in the construction game or the design game, we need to look at ways of, designing maybe home office studios, little pods that you could put in the back, transportable. That's an idea. It's not a bad idea, a bad idea at all. Instead of a tiny house, do a tiny office. I mean, that's essentially what I have here. This little room that you see here is a little. The former owner, he built it as a little music studio off the back of his Queenslander. So if I go through the door there, I've got the little laundry, and then I just go outside. So to get to the house, I have to walk outside in the garden. That's why you'll often hear the kids playing or screaming in the background, because that's just how this was. So it's really convenient. It gives me a lot of privacy too. So as businesses across Australia start making plans to bring their workers back to the office in the wake of easing restrictions, some companies are instead contemplating a future where the permanent office space is redundant. And that's another concern you've got to realize. If your work can be done anywhere, and your expertise can be replicated easily, or suddenly you're competing with the global market, should we say? You're competing with people overseas. They can't meet face to face, but we'll have to see. Tech space recruitment firm Real-Time Australia decided to ditch, or recruitment firm. I'm not surprised recruiters. I'd be surprised they even have offices. Anyway, decided to ditch its Sydney and Melbourne offices at the start of the pandemic, and is now operating a distributed team of workers and using flexible office space for client meetings and team collaborations. The company, which has been operating since 1991 and employs 15 people based in Sydney, Melbourne and Perth, was already allowing staff to work remotely prior to the pandemic. This makes sense for their business model for recruiters. It really makes sense. A lot of their work will be done in other offices, and they'll be, meeting and drinking and networking with people. So, yeah, that makes perfect sense. About half of the team were working from home half of the week already. Real-Time Australia Partnership Ellis Taylor said. But seeing the ease with which everyone had adapted to working from home, and with a looming deadline to recommit to their permanent leases on the horizon, the firm decided to take the plunge and commit to a distributed work model. The leases were coming up for renewal at our Sydney and Melbourne offices, and we thought there's no reason we should continue to pay exorbitant rent prices and be locked into a lease, Mr. Taylor said. Yeah, well, I agree with you there, mate. These rent prices are just, it's a potentially a huge saving for businesses. Instead, the firm, which counts companies like Canva and InSpace among its clients, has been using office space listed on flexible leasing platforms SpaceNow to host external meetings and team events. Never heard of them? Maybe this is a supplied article. Beyond the cost savings, Mr. Taylor estimated the amount at 6 figures. The real benefits have been in improved productivity and focus. Once a week, the Sydney team, where the majority of employees are based, meets in a different location selected from the SpaceNow platform. We did a workshop in a warehouse in Leichhardt one week, then a boardroom in Barangaroo, and a cool outdoor area in Surrey Hills. We spend around 4 hours to 6 hours together, but we're not just doing our day-to-day work. We're workshopping, we're collaborating, we're doing group training, phones are off, computers are off, and we're focused. Yeah, I can appreciate that. That would be a more special event to actually get together. So you'd give it the time. Well, bloody oath, you're paying for the office. So you tell the staff, I'm paying for this boardroom, we got to use every minute of it. Combining the change in scenery with a clear set agenda has just seen our output skyrocket, Mr. Taylor says. We've made the decision that we will never have a permanent office space going forward. So there's a rise in demand for flexible space since the pandemic hit. Well, there may be a rise in the amount of flexible space coming. If more and more of this happens, I suspect we'll see more flexible spaces. Real-Time Australia may not be alone in its desire for more flexible workplace models. SpaceNow has registered a surge in demand for business owners and individual workers since the onset of the pandemic. Since March, the platform has recorded 290% increase in new customers and a 550% increase in inquiries from a mix of large corporations, startups, and sole traders. SpaceNow Chief Executive Danielle Gunning said many businesses were seeing a hybrid solution for employees yearning for the social aspect of the physical workforce without the transmission risks that a major office building presents, and I'd say the costs. The current economic uncertainty and social distancing measures mean that large corporate offices and CBD areas across Australian cities will continue to lay dormant for a while. However, working from home every day for months on end isn't a sustainable model for workers, both from a workspace setup and mental health perspective. There needs to be another model that supports this shift to remote and hybrid work, one that helps bring workers closer to people's home in a safe environment. He said the SpaceNow platform, which also lists hotel rooms available for use as an office and ghost kitchens for use by takeaway food businesses, could provide a viable solution for office landlords currently struggling with high vacancy rates. The rise of the flexible short-term commercial space is what we're building resilience for both businesses and property market. On one end, it allows property owners to drive better utilization and higher revenue from their property assets. We're even seeing hotels transform their rooms into workspaces, while businesses on their end can find affordable solutions to the remote work conundrums, ultimately making consequent leasing savings they can reinvest in what matters more to their business. Now, very interesting. What do you all think, guys? What do you think? How do you work in your office if you do? Do you have your team dispersed? Have you looked at this model? Let us know your experiences in the comments. I must say working from home has been a great shift for us. I've really enjoyed it. I really don't even miss the commutes. And if I tell anyone from Sydney what my commute is, they laugh at me. It was like 30 minutes each way. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, and Kucoin. You can buy a merch from Teespring or the HeiseSays blog, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, have a great day. I'll see you next time.